Yo, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at the Week 6 Sunday Night Football Showdown slate on DraftKings. We're going to go through and talk about some of my favorite plays. I got about 5 or 6 guys that I'm looking at for this Showdown slate. Who I'm going to be paying up for captain, I'll try and talk through like roster construction. If I'm going to be paying up at captain or going cheap, who are the favorite spend-up options I like. If there's any value plays, I'll be sure to hit on those as well. Just before we do get started, guys, I would definitely appreciate it if you would drop a like on this video. Feel free to let me know down in the comments who is your top captain for this showdown slate, who's the guy that you're trying to pay up for, or if you're going to be looking to a cheap captain, feel free to comment that down below. As always, I do appreciate your guys' comments, feedback. It does really mean a lot. If you are new to the channel, be sure you click that subscribe button as well. Click the notification bell so that way you get notified every time I upload. You'll never miss a new video if you do that. A lot of the people that watch my videos are not subscribed, so I would really appreciate it if you guys would subscribe to the channel. I'm uploading a ton of content for NFL, and once NBA season starts, I will be uploading NBA videos daily as well for you guys. But let's go ahead and take a look at this showdown slate. Start off at the top with the guy that I'm looking to pay up for at the top, and that is Keenan Allen. I do really like Keenan Allen a lot here. He's $15,600 if you want to play him at captain. He's $10,400 if you want to play him in the flex. I think he's worth the salary, though. He's definitely my favorite play overall to pay up for, and he's my favorite captain to go to as well if I can pay up at captain. I do expect a big bounce back game from Keenan Allen here. Last 2 games he's been pretty disappointing against the Dolphins and against the Broncos. Just hasn't had great games. I do expect a bounce back game from Keenan Allen. He's an elite wide receiver, a great route runner. He always finds ways to get open. Last time these teams faced, I think it was on a Sunday night game. It might have been last year or the year before that. Pittsburgh used a linebacker to cover Keenan Allen. He was playing a lot in the slot, and Pittsburgh used a linebacker in the slot to cover Allen, and Keenan Allen just absolutely torched them. Can't remember what his final line was, but I know he had like 10 or 11 catches, over 100 yards. I think he got multiple touchdowns. It was a monster game from Keenan Allen the last time he faced Pittsburgh. Obviously, we don't know if that's going to be the case here. If Allen's lined up in the slot, if they're going to use a linebacker, I highly doubt they will. But I don't expect really any of Pittsburgh's corners to be able to shut down Keenan Allen. He's just such an elite receiver that he'll always find ways to get open. Definitely the guy that I'm trying to pay up for at the top. And I think it's pretty easy to get him in there if you want to pay up for Allen as a captain, because there are some values we will talk about. You obviously always have the kickers and the defenses that you could play for value, even though I do try and shy away from playing kickers and defenses unless I feel like it's a game that's going to be low scoring. This game isn't projected to be that high scoring. I think it has like a 41 total right now. But the defenses are kind of priced up, especially the the Chargers defense. They're priced up to like 5,200. So it might be hard to play the defenses in this game for value. We'll talk about some cheap like receivers that I'll be looking at though for value plays later on in the video. But overall, I do really like paying up for Keenan Allen as a captain play. And if I am going to be paying up for Keenan Allen at captain, I do want to pair him with Phillip Rivers. In this game, I do prefer to go to Phillip Rivers at quarterback rather than going to the Steelers side. We don't know yet who's going to start for the Steelers. Right now, when I'm recording this video on Friday afternoon, we haven't got any confirmation on whether it's going to be Mason Rudolph or Devlin Hodges. Rudolph took that hit in their last game, and I believe he's been practicing this week, or at least he's been in limited practice. So it's not fully confirmed that he's going to miss this game. There is a chance that Mason Rudolph could play. If he doesn't play, then Devlin Hodges will get the start. Both guys on DraftKings are pretty similarly priced. I think just a $200 difference between the two. Even if it's Rudolph playing, I still prefer to go to Phillip Rivers, even though the Steelers quarterbacks are a lot cheaper. They're like $2,000 cheaper. I still rather would go to Rivers. He's $15,300 as a captain play, $10,200 as a flex play. I'm more likely to use Rivers as a flex play than captain, just because I rarely play quarterbacks as captain. Usually always prefer to go to running backs, receivers, tight ends as captain plays. But I still do have a ton of interest in Phillip Rivers. I'm obviously going to be playing a lot of Keenan Allen because I really like Keenan Allen in this spot. So that's automatically just going to put me on Phillip Rivers. Always try and correlate my lineups like that. If I'm paying up for a Chargers receiver at captain, then I probably want to have Phillip Rivers in those lineups. If I'm paying up for a Steelers receiver at captain, I want to have either Rudolph or Hodges, whichever one starts, in those lineups as well. So always try and correlate my lineups well. I'm going to have a lot of Rivers if I'm playing Keenan Allen at captain. Pittsburgh defense can be attacked through the air, so I do expect the Chargers offense to have some success in the passing game. I think Rivers can throw for multiple touchdowns in this game. I do expect Keenan Allen to have a pretty nice game, and I think Rivers, we could see him go for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns if the Steelers can keep this game competitive, which is obviously a bit worrisome, especially if they're going to be starting their third-string quarterback. But regardless, I think Phillip Rivers is a pretty good play at the top if you want to pay up for him. But the next guy we're going to look at from the Steelers side is James Conner. So James Conner's 14,100 as a captain play, 9,400 as a flex play. James Conner should be looking at a slight boost in his workload. Jalen Samuels is out for this game, and Jalen Samuels was roughly playing about 25% of the snaps every week. He was definitely taking a little bit of work away from James Conner, especially in that Bengals game. They used Jalen Samuels a lot. Whether it's Rudolph or Hodges starting this game, I do expect the Steelers to run the ball a lot. I imagine if you're starting your backup quarterback or your third-string quarterback, you're probably going to want to try to run the ball as much as possible, especially if Hodges starts. If they're on to their third-string quarterback, if Hodges has to start, I imagine they're going to be running the ball a lot with James Conner, just trying to control the clock. So he should be looking at a pretty heavy workload here. Should be looking at close to 15, 20 carries. He hasn't been getting a ton of work in the passing game this year, but that's because Jalen Samuels has been getting a lot of work in the passing game. Now with Jalen Samuels out, a lot of that pass game volume, pass game targets, or whatever should be going to James Conner. Should be looking his way. The Steelers do have a backup running back, but I don't expect him to be used as much as Jalen Samuels was. Conner should be the clear number one guy now, so really like going to James Conner. I think he's my preferred running back in this game. You obviously have Austin Eckler, Melvin Gordon on the on the Chargers side that you could look to, but I feel a little bit safer about Conner's workload. I feel like his workload's going to increase now that Samuels is out. He's definitely the guy that I want to go to if I'm playing a running back in this game. But now the next guy we're going to look to, also on the Steelers side, is Diontae Johnson. Diontae Johnson, 9,600 as a captain play, 6,400 as a flex play. He has clearly established himself as the wide receiver 2 behind Juju Smith-Schuster. There is a few more targets to go around now that James Washington is out. Washington being out should help. Should help Juju get a few more targets. Should help Diontae Johnson get a few more targets. We're going to talk about a really cheap play that I think is going to benefit from James Washington being out. We'll talk about him towards the end of the video. Washington was getting about 5-6 targets every week. He was playing a decent amount of snaps as well. So some of those targets should be going Diontae Johnson's way. Johnson was already seeing consistent targets as it is, was seeing about 6 to 8 targets every week. He was already playing a ton of snaps as well, like over 90% of snaps. He was pretty much on the field just about for every offensive play. So those numbers should only increase now that James Washington's out. They're going to be pretty thin at receiver. It's definitely going to be Juju and Johnson doing the heavy lifting at receiver, seeing the most volume from the Steelers side. So I do like Diontae Johnson a lot as a cheaper receiver. He's only $6,400. He's really not that expensive. I think if you want to use him as a cheap captain, you could definitely do that. We're going to talk about some value plays that I like, and on the next 2 slides, 2 value guys I like. If you don't feel safe going to those value guys, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think they're that safe. But when you look at the game logs for like the next 2 guys, they're not going to be the safest play. So if you don't feel good about going to them, then you could definitely use Diontae Johnson as a cheap captain. And then that's probably going to allow you to pay up for like Rivers, Allen. If you want to get James Conner in there, if you want to get one of the Steelers quarterbacks, whichever one starts, you could probably do that with Johnson at captain. But I feel like a lot of my builds, I'm probably going to be paying up for Keenan Allen at captain, pairing him with Phillip Rivers, fitting in a couple more expensive guys, and then we're going to talk about 2 cheap values that I'll be looking at. So one of the cheap values I'm going to be targeting is Travis Benjamin. Travis Benjamin, only $2,200 as a cheap flex play. He's definitely someone I'll be looking to when I'm looking for cheap values. He makes sense, in my opinion, to go to as a wide receiver 3 with upside rather than playing the kickers or the defenses. I usually try and always shy away from kickers and defenses on showdown slates because they just don't give you a ton of upside. Rarely do you get like a 15, 20-point game from a kicker or defense unless like it's the Patriots defense. And I don't really see either defense in this game putting up those kind of numbers. Maybe the Chargers defense could, especially if Hodges starts, but they are priced up to like $5,200. I'd rather just take a shot on Travis Benjamin at only $2,200. He's been the clear wide receiver 3 for the Chargers. He's been on the field for roughly about 50% of the offensive snaps so far this season for the Chargers. He did miss a game. I believe it was against the Dolphins in like week 4. He didn't play in that game. He did play week 5, and I think he played about 40 of the offensive snaps. Keenan Allen, for example, played like 59. So Benjamin's going to be on the field a decent amount. And only $2,200, you really don't need much from him to pay off this price tag. And obviously, if he gets like a deep ball or a long touchdown, he's going to be a great value. That's kind of what you're searching for when you're looking for these cheap wide receiver threes. They're going to be on the field a decent amount. They're going to get a few targets. They're obviously not going to project very well, but on showdown slates, I think taking risk on these wide receiver threes that will most likely come in low owned makes a lot of sense for value plays. And like I said, I think you just get a little bit more upside out of Travis Benjamin. Although his game log's not very pretty, he still gives you a long touchdown upside. He's got some speed. He can get you a long 50, 60-yard touchdown if he breaks free from the secondary. So I do like Travis Benjamin quite a bit at 2,200 as a cheap value play. If you're looking to full pay up at captain, if you want to try and pay up for Keenan Allen, Rivers, Juju, if you want to pay up for all those guys, you're going to need some value, and I think that's where Travis Benjamin comes in hand at 2,200. And just looking at like the other guys around that price range, there's really no other guys in that price range you feel very confident in. I at least have a little bit of confidence in Benjamin because I know he's going to be on the field for a decent amount of snaps. But now the last guy we're going to talk about, very cheap play. Actually, the cheapest price you can be on a showdown slate is $200. And I'm going to be looking at Johnny Holton for only $200. He did step into the wide receiver 3 role for the Steelers in their last game once James Washington got injured. I believe he played about 20 offensive snaps. That was like during the game. He would have probably played more if Washington would have been out for the whole game. But now with Washington out for this game, I do expect Johnny Holton to step into the wide receiver 3 role. I'll be taking a shot on him at only $200. Rarely do we get players for this cheap that are going to be on the field as much as Johnny Holton should be. He's probably going to play about 40-50% of the offensive snaps. I believe for like the 20 offensive snaps that he was on the field for last week, I think he ran 9 or 10 routes. So he was running routes. He wasn't just out there blocking. If we're going to get guys this cheap that are on the field running routes for a decent amount of the game, I think that puts them in play, especially on a single game showdown slate where we're trying to find cheap value. I won't be using Johnny Holton at captain, but I'll definitely have him in some lineups as a cheap flex play. There is a chance that the Steelers do activate Diontae Moncrief for this game. Diontae Moncrief has not played like the last 3 weeks. He's been a healthy scratch. Now that the Steelers are very thin at receiver, there is a chance they activate Moncrief, and if they do that, then that would hurt Johnny Holton's value a little bit, but I don't expect Diontae Moncrief to play a lot regardless whether he's active or not. I think Johnny Holton's going to clearly step in as the wide receiver 3. He's not going to see a ton of targets. Like, you're not going to get 10 targets for Johnny Holton, but if he gets 3-4 targets, if he catches like 2 balls for 30 yards and maybe gets into the end zone, he's going to be a smash play at only $200. Like, you really don't need him to do much to be a good play at this price tag. And obviously there's a ton of potential if he's going to be on the field for 40-50% of the offensive snaps. So I'll definitely be taking a shot on Johnny Holton. I usually play about 20 lineups on these showdown slates. I imagine he'll be in like at least probably 4 or 5 of them. Same with Travis Benjamin. I'll be taking a shot on Benjamin as well. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this Sunday Night Football showdown slate. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Thank you so much for watching. I do really appreciate it. You'll notice on the screen I'll have one of my most recent videos popping up on the screen. If you want to check that video out, I would really appreciate it. You'll see my logo popping up on the screen as well. You can click that to subscribe to the channel. Feel free to leave any comments, any questions, any feedback down below in the comment section. Always appreciate your guys' comments. Make sure you drop a like on the video. And thanks again for watching, guys. I do really appreciate it. Good luck this week. Peace.